Hey guys, if you want to stay updated on new videos, don't forget to subscribe and give this one a like. Hope you enjoy the story. Hey guys, my name's Ethan. I'm 28 years old now, but today, I want to tell you about a terrifying story that happened to me and my family years ago. Before I dive into the actual events, let me give you a quick intro about myself and my family. Back then, I was 21. My older brothers Alex was 24, and Michael was 26. My dad's name is David, and my mom's name is Susan. We were living in a small town in Colorado called West Pine. It was one of those quiet little towns where everyone knew everyone, and people treated each other like family. Well, everyone except one person, Reggie. Reggie didn't really talk to anyone. He didn't hurt anyone, but he didn't do good for anyone either. If you asked him for something, he'd just shut you down and walk away without another word. He lived with his elderly mom, Miss Ayla. She was actually a really sweet lady, but for the past year, she'd been sick and barely left the house. Some of the neighbors would stop by every now and then, bring her groceries, help her out a little. Reggie was 38 years old. Even though he never socialized, there was nothing evil about him. He just seemed off, simple, a little slow maybe. One day, me and the guys were sitting at the local cafe, and I noticed Reggie standing in the corner, just watching us. My brother Michael waved at him and said, "Hey man, come sit with us." But Reggie shook his head. Michael laughed and said, "Come on dude, how long are you gonna keep hanging out by yourself? You don't have a single friend, just sit with us." After a bit of hesitation, Reggie slowly walked over to our table. His eyes were nervous, like he was scared of us or something, but honestly, there was nothing scary about him. He was actually bigger than me, looked strong even. When he reached the table, he just stood there. Michael got up and offered him his chair. Reggie dragged it a little back from the table before sitting down. Then he placed his hands neatly on his knees. Michael asked, "How's your mom doing?" Reggie said, "She's good." "How's your mom?" Michael replied, "She's good too, thanks." Reggie looked like he was uncomfortable talking to us. There were times I thought maybe he was hiding something from us, but later on, after seeing how he acted in general, I realized that's just who he was. Reggie was a complicated guy, not easy to read. He was the only one in town who really stood out, and not in a good way. But we always treated him kindly, mostly because of his mom. She was well liked, and out of respect for her, we never said or did anything to hurt Reggie. Sometimes the little kids in the neighborhood would tease him, call him names, even act like he was crazy. But the adults would always step in, scold the kids, and send them away. After hanging out at the cafe for a bit longer, we headed home. As we were walking home, Michael mumbled to himself, "That guy is just strange. He's a good guy, sure, but I don't get him. No one can really enjoy life alone, right? Everyone needs at least one friend, someone to talk to. But he's got no one, except his mom. And that poor woman, she's bedridden, may God help her." We talked like that until we got home. A few days later, we were having dinner when there was a knock at the door. Michael stood up and went to open it. When he did, we saw Reggie's mom, Miss Ayla, standing there. She looked like she had practically crawled to our house. She could barely stand. Michael grabbed her arm gently, helped her inside, and sat her down. She was completely out of breath. After a moment, she burst into tears. My mom rushed over. "Miss Ayla, what's wrong? Why are you crying? Did something happen to Reggie?" Miss Ayla took a deep breath. While she tried to calm herself, I brought her a glass of water. She took a sip, then finally started speaking. "Oh neighbor, you have no idea what we've been through. I can't talk to anyone about this. I don't know who to tell. Reggie, he's lost his mind completely. Lately, he's been dragging black trash bags into the house, and whatever's in them, it stinks. He keeps piling them up in one of the rooms. It's gotten to the point where it's unbearable to stay inside the house. There are weird noises coming from that room. I'm scared. I asked him, Reggie, what are you bringing into the house? He said, stay out of it, Mom. It's almost over. Soon, both of us will be free. And he always does it in the middle of the night. 1, 2, 3 in the morning. He's still out bringing things in. We were all in shock. My dad asked, what the hell could he be bringing home? Miss Ayla's eyes were wide with fear. I swear, I don't know. But I'm terrified. Sometimes at night, I feel like something grabs me by the legs and tries to drag me. I think our house is haunted. I think there are spirits in there. My mom tried to stay calm. Oh no, don't say that, Miss Ayla. Maybe it was just a nightmare. The boys will talk to Reggie. Don't worry. Whatever he's bringing in, they'll get rid of it. They'll help clean up the house. Please try not to stress yourself. Even though my mom tried to comfort her, the fear in Miss Ayla's eyes never left. After sitting for a bit longer, she turned to me and said, son, could you walk me back home? Of course, Miss Ayla. Let's go, I said. Just then, Alex stepped in. Wait, I'll come too. Maybe we'll catch Reggie and talk to him. Right at that moment, Michael's phone rang. It was one of his friends. So without wasting time, Alex and I helped Miss Ayla up and headed out with her. While walking, she had to stop every few steps to catch her breath. I'm so sorry for bothering you like this, boys, she said softly. I didn't mean to trouble you so late at night. Alex smiled and said, Miss Ayla, come on now. There's no need to apologize. We're like your sons too. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to call. Our door is always open for you. We were just about to reach her house when Reggie stepped out the front door. He looked surprised to see us, then quickly turned around and went back inside. When we got to the door, Miss Ayla tried to unlock it with her keys, but it was locked from the inside. She turned to us and whispered, he's doing it again. Please, stop him, I said. Don't worry, Miss Ayla, we'll talk to him now, and knocked on the door again. A few moments later, Reggie cracked the door open just a little. What's going on? What are you doing here this late? Mom, where have you been? I've been looking for you all day. Come inside, now, he said, grabbing her by the arm, trying to pull her in. Alex immediately stepped in. Hold on, Reggie. We need to talk, he said, grabbing Reggie's arm and pulling him away from the door. While they moved a bit further to talk, I helped Miss Ayla inside. The moment I stepped in, an awful, stomach-turning smell hit me. I held my breath and helped her sit down on the couch, but honestly, I couldn't take it. I had to get out of there. As soon as I stepped outside, I took a deep breath, letting the fresh air fill my lungs. The smell inside that house was unbearable. I rushed over to Alex and Reggie and said, Reggie, what's going on with you? Your mom told us you've been bringing things into the house, and whatever they are. They smell horrible, Reggie snapped. Mind your own business. Just leave me alone. And with that, he slammed the door shut and locked it behind him. Alex shouted in anger, that idiot's gonna hurt her. I feel it in my gut, and started heading back toward the door, but I stopped him. Let it go. Man, this is between him and his mother. It's their problem. Let's just go home. Besides, trust me, you don't want to go back in there. The place reeks. So we went home. About a week passed. That morning my mom had gotten up early to make breakfast, but something was off. She looked sad. Mom, are you okay? Is something wrong? I asked. She sighed and said, Son, I had the strangest dream last night. I saw Miss Ayla in this deep canyon. Her hands and feet were tied. She was screaming, begging me to help her, and at the top of the canyon was Reggie. But he didn't look like himself. His eyes were pitch black, and his hands and feet, they were twisted backwards. Just like in those stories, you know, when someone's possessed, their limbs are all twisted. It was exactly like that. I'm going to visit Miss Ayla today. If you see Reggie, please talk to him. This can't go on, and you know me, I don't get worked up over nothing. I nodded. Don't worry, Mom. Everything's going to be fine. We'll talk to him today. That was the end of the conversation for the moment. Later that day, my brothers, my dad and I were out handling a few things. By the time we got home in the evening, there was still no sign of Reggie. When we got to our house, the door was closed. The lights were off. We stepped inside and called for Mom, but no answer. We checked the kitchen, bathroom, her bedroom. Nothing. Dad, I said, do you think she went to visit Miss Ayla? But if she did, shouldn't she be back by now? We were definitely starting to feel uneasy. Dad said, let's wait a little longer. If she doesn't show up soon, go check Reggie's place. So we waited, but no one came. No sound, no movement. Michael and Alex left to go look for her. They were gone a long time. Dad and I just sat there, waiting. Finally, they came back. What happened? Boys, where have you been this whole time? Dad asked. Michael said, Dad, we couldn't find her anywhere. We even went to Reggie's house. Miss Ayla was there, lying down, but Reggie said our mom never came by. It's so strange. She would never leave the house without telling someone, and if she had gone out, she should have been back by now. We started calling relatives, a few neighbors, but no one had heard from her. That night, we searched until midnight. We didn't leave a single place unchecked. It was just past midnight when the front door opened and Mom walked in. We were all stunned. Alex stood up immediately and said, Mom, where have you been all day? We've been looking for you everywhere. She didn't even look up. My head hurts. We'll talk later, she muttered and went straight to her room. As she walked away, I noticed her skirt was covered in mud. I didn't say anything. Not to Dad, not to my brothers. I didn't want to worry anyone more than they already were. But honestly, I think they noticed it too, because we were all thrown off by how strange she was acting. Dad got a little upset and was about to go after her, but Alex stepped in. Dad, maybe sleep in my room tonight. Let's talk to her in the morning, when she's calmed down, he suggested. Dad agreed. Everyone headed off to their rooms. Alex came into mine, just like we used to do when we were kids. Same bed, same shared silence, but those carefree childhood nights were long gone. Now, we were lying there with the weight of something, heavy something we couldn't name. We were both staring up at the ceiling, hands behind our heads, lost in our thoughts. I finally broke the silence. Hey, where do you think Mom was? Why was she acting so weird? Alex sighed. I don't know, but something felt off. Did you see her skirt? It was muddy. Where could she have been? Yeah, I noticed too, I said. Honestly, I think we all did. But no one said a word. I'm scared, man. Scared? Of what? He asked. Tell me what's on your mind. I was just about to answer when the door opened and Michael walked in. You guys still awake? He asked. Nope. Come on in, I said, patting the bed. He shut the door and sat down with us. I don't want to freak you out, he started, but something's seriously wrong with Mom. Her skirt, it was muddy, but the weather's been hot and dry. There hasn't been a drop of rain in weeks. So where the hell did she find mud? She's hiding something. God help us, he whispered. The three of us sat there in a silence that felt heavier than the dark around us. Then suddenly, a loud crash came from the living room. We jumped up and ran out. The place was a mess. Furniture knocked over, things scattered everywhere. We immediately went into alert mode, split up, searched the entire house. Whatever, or whoever, had made that noise, we needed to find it. Could have been a break-in, an animal maybe. But either way, we had to get to the bottom of it. We searched every corner and found nothing. What was even more disturbing, despite all the noise, neither Mom nor Dad woke up. We just looked at each other. Forget it, someone said. Let them sleep. We cleaned up the mess and went back to my room, but there was no way any of us were falling asleep after that. After a long silence, Michael finally said, I'm sleeping here tonight. Sure, I said. The bed's big enough, just like old times. But I knew he wasn't there to sleep. I just want to talk more about what's going on, he said. You remember what happened a few years back, right? That thing. It messed all of us up, and I don't want to go through that again. Finally, one of us said what we were all thinking. What Michael was talking about was this. A few years ago, a young woman and a man had arrived in our town. They told us that some relatives of theirs had lived here years ago, but had since passed away. Their reason for coming: to check out the house, clean it up a bit, and stay for a few days. The people they mentioned had, in fact, lived in town a long time ago. A couple, long gone now. The town official, kind of like the mayor, took the young man and woman to the house they asked for. But exactly one day after they moved in, strange things started happening around town. Out of nowhere, fires broke out with no clear cause. Livestock in barns started dying. Pregnant women went into sudden labor. One woman, only 3 months pregnant, gave birth and lost the baby. All of it in just one night. The whole town felt like it had been dragged into hell. It was terrifying beyond anything we could explain. We barely made it through the night. The next morning, the townspeople brought in a pastor to help. But the moment he stepped into town, he turned around and ran. He didn't say a word, just bolted, never looked back. So they spent the next week trying to find someone stronger, someone who could actually help. But during that time, the town lost everything. There were no animals left, no pregnant women. Even valuable belongings had either gone missing or burned to ash. It was like the whole place had been gutted. Nobody knew what to do. Eventually, they brought in a well-known spiritual expert, Pastor Elijah. He was 47, and people said he knew more about the supernatural than anyone else in the country. The moment he arrived, he gave instructions. Wash yourselves with clean water, purify, then meet me at the church. Everyone went home to prepare. Meanwhile, Pastor Elijah went straight to the house where the couple was staying. He later told us the place was covered in symbols, weird drawings, markings, and traces of old spells. The couple had drawn things on the walls, scratched sigils into the floor, set up strange objects in every corner. Elijah said they weren't entirely human, not demons exactly, but something between human and something else. After neutralizing them, he tried to break the spells they had cast, but it wasn't easy. Whatever they had done in that house, it was powerful. Elijah nearly collapsed. He said he could barely stay on his feet as he left the house and walked to the church. Once there, the townspeople were already waiting. Without wasting a second, he began to pray. The church echoed with chants and psalms as Elijah fought to lift the curse that had gripped the town. Since that day, nobody in town has opened their doors to a stranger without thinking twice. We all learned the hard way that some people shouldn't be trusted. Even after the nightmare ended, something in me still felt wrong, like something wasn't over. I knew I wasn't the only one. Alex and Michael were just as uneasy as I was. That night, we stayed up late, talking about what had happened back then, and how it felt eerily similar to what was happening now with our mom. We kept comparing her behavior to that story over and over again, until we finally passed out from exhaustion. The next morning, we got up early. We had errands to run outside, but before that, we wanted to check on Mom and Dad. Both of them were still asleep, especially Dad. He must have gone to bed super late, because he didn't even stir. We didn't want to wake him, so the three of us headed out. Throughout the day, we tried calling them a few times, but no answer. We figured maybe they were talking about everything that happened last night, maybe arguing, maybe trying to sort things out, so we didn't push it. That evening, as we were heading home, Alex said, "If things are still cold between them tonight, we're gonna have to sit them down. Talk it out with Mom, too." Seriously. But as soon as we got close to the house, we stopped. Every door and window was wide open, and the inside was pitch black. We rushed in. turned on the lights, and froze. The house was wrecked, completely destroyed. Not a single piece of furniture was left untouched. Everything was shattered, broken, flipped over. We ran to the bedrooms, but they were both gone. Mom and Dad were nowhere to be found. There was some kind of muddy substance smeared all over the beds, and the smell was unbearable. We couldn't stand being in the house any longer. We slammed the bedroom doors shut and rushed outside. The three of us split up and searched every corner of town. We knocked on every door. Even our close friends helped us look. We went street by street, but there was no sign of our mom or dad. We searched until midnight. Exhausted and out of options, we returned home. We decided, if they weren't back by morning, we'd call the sheriff. But when we walked into the house, we froze. The place looked spotless, cleaner than it had ever been. Everything was neatly in place. And our parents, they were home. For a second, we thought we'd gone insane, but no, this was real. Alex couldn't hold back his rage anymore. Are you out of your minds? Are you messing with us? What the hell is going on? I tried to step in. Alex, calm down. Let's talk to them. Maybe there's an explanation. He pushed me aside. Move, he said, then stormed up to Mom and Dad. He slammed his hand on the table. Are you playing games with us? Say something. Mom and Dad looked at each other, and then they laughed. But it wasn't just any laugh. It was loud, twisted, inhuman. The kind of laugh that freezes your blood. Then they slowly stood up and began walking toward us. And what we saw, I'll never forget it. Their hands and feet began bending backwards, unnaturally. Their eyes turned completely black, and their mouths started stretching wider and wider, far beyond normal. We panicked and ran for the front door, but the door was gone. In its place was a huge black curtain, covered in dozens of writhing black scorpions, crawling and pulsing like they were alive. We turned and sprinted to Mom and Dad's bedroom, locked the door behind us. But when we turned around, there they were, our real parents, or what was left of them, torn up corpses lying in the bed, their heads split in two. It was the most disgusting, horrifying thing I'd ever seen. We bolted to another room. The walls were covered in strange symbols, animal organs scattered everywhere. We couldn't stay there either. So we ran to the living room, but it wasn't the same living room anymore. Now it was on fire, every inch of it. And outside the window, we saw them. Monsters, humanoid figures with grotesque, twisted faces, so deformed, so horrifying. Just looking at them made us want to throw up. Inside, our parents were running around the house, ripping chunks of flesh off themselves and stuffing it into their mouths, laughing like it gave them pleasure. Alex started praying, "Oh God, please help us." What is this? Suddenly, my dad dashed toward him fast, grabbed him by the throat and started choking him. Black smoke poured from my father's mouth and began flowing into Alex's nose and mouth. Michael tried to intervene, but it was too late. Alex's body went completely black. He collapsed to the floor, lifeless. And then, my father changed. He got even bigger, even more monstrous. Twice our size now. He turned to Michael, grabbed him by the hair, lifted him into the air, and drove his claws deep into his throat. Michael's blood sprayed across the room. The floor became a pool of red, and when he threw him aside, like a rag doll, it was my turn. He started walking toward me. I turned and ran straight for the window, and I threw myself out. Suddenly, I jolted out of bed. When I opened my eyes, it was already morning. No one was around. I was drenched in sweat, completely disoriented. I got up and walked over to the window. I opened it and took deep breaths, trying to calm myself. That dream had completely wrecked me. Just as I was trying to gather myself, I heard the door creak open slowly. I turned around and I saw my mom. But what I saw wasn't really my mom. Her eyes were missing. Her fingers were cut off. Her mouth was sewn shut. I froze. I wanted to run to her and ask, "What happened? Are you okay?" But before I could even take a step, bam, I woke up again, for the second time. My heart was racing so fast it felt like it might jump out of my chest. I couldn't take it anymore. I got out of bed and walked into the living room. Everything was completely silent. It all looked normal, but no one was there. My mom, my dad, my brother's gone. I called out, "Mom, Dad, Alex," but there was no answer. Just then, someone knocked on the front door. I rushed to open it. Standing there was my friend Ryan. "Dude, where the hell have you been? I've been looking for you all morning. I tried calling, but you're not picking up. Aren't you coming?" I stared at him blankly. "Coming to what?" Ryan raised his eyebrows. "Ayla's funeral. Everyone's already there. You're the only one missing," Michael said. "Go wake that lazy Ethan up." So here I am. I was confused. Wait, when did Allah pass away? When did my family leave? Ryan looked annoyed. "Man, you ask too many questions. Let's go already," he said, grabbing my arm and pulling me outside. We walked to the town cemetery, and sure enough, the whole community was there. Everyone looked devastated. Ayla's son, Reggie, had collapsed into a corner. He was sobbing, screaming, "Mom, why'd you leave me alone?" People tried to comfort him, but he kept crying and thrashing on the ground. I, on the other hand, was still completely lost. I couldn't make sense of anything. I had no idea how many hours or days I had been asleep. Once the burial was done and the evening rolled around, everyone left. We headed back home too, but I still couldn't bring myself to ask anyone what had happened. There were thousands of unanswered questions spinning in my head. Mom seemed back to normal. She even made us dinner, but the weight of Ayla's death hung over us. We ate quietly, then moved to the living room and sat in front of the TV in silence. I couldn't take it anymore. "Mom," I asked, "are you okay?" She turned to me with a calm smile. "I'm fine, honey. Why do you ask?" I looked at her. "Well, the other day, I disappeared. I came home, and no one said anything. You never explained what happened. Dad got mad at you. He wanted to leave the room, but Michael stopped him. Then I took you to his room. Later, you and Dad came to my room, and we all talked until midnight. Remember?" Everyone just stared at me in silence. "Then what happened after that?" I asked again. I don't remember anything after that. Next thing I knew, I woke up and Ryan was at the door. He told me Ayla had died. When did all this happen? How many days passed? What's going on? Can someone just explain? Alex lost it. "Dude, have you lost your mind? When did any of this happen? Are you seriously mixing dreams and reality now?" "No, I'm not," I shouted. "Everything I just said really happened. And that night, we even talked about the terrifying thing that happened to us years ago. We remembered it together." Michael stepped in. "Stop. Don't bring that up again." Anyway, I was completely on edge. "I'm going to sleep," I said, and headed to my room. After Alex went to his room, Michael followed. I was left alone with Mom and Dad. "Mom, please try to understand me. I swear, all of that really happened," I said. She didn't say a word. She just kept staring at the TV like nothing was wrong. I felt this overwhelming mix of anger and helplessness rising in me. I didn't want to talk anymore. I just turned back to the screen and sat there in silence. But I couldn't stop thinking, was all of that just a dream? Or was I really going crazy? Or did it all really happen, and now they're all just pretending, playing games with me? That's when I heard it. Someone called my name, a deep, male voice. I thought it was my dad. I turned toward him. Yes, Dad. But he had already gone to bed, and it couldn't have been my mom either, because the voice, it wasn't hers. It was much deeper, much darker. It chilled me. I looked around. No one. "Mom." Someone just called my name. Who was it? I asked. Without even turning her head, she said, I don't know, son. I didn't hear anyone. I turned back to the TV, and that's when I noticed. The screen was completely black. The show we were watching just vanished, gone. Now I was staring into pitch black nothing. Mom, can you pass me the remote? I asked. I turned around, but Mom and Dad weren't there. They were gone. My whole body tensed. I jumped up, heart pounding. What the hell? Where did everyone go this time? I shouted. That's when I heard it again. Ethan. It came from behind me. I slowly turned around and saw something standing in the corner of the room. A tall, jet black figure with massive horns. Terrifying. No eyes, but somehow I knew it was looking straight at me. I was frozen in place, couldn't move. It started walking toward me. Slowly, step by step, I started praying in my head, but everything around me was getting darker. My vision faded. It felt like my soul was leaving my body, and then I felt a hand on my shoulder. I opened my eyes. It was my dad. Son, wake up. You fell asleep on the couch. Go to bed, he said. I looked around, disoriented. Mom and Dad were still awake. They were just heading to their room. TV was still on. So, I must have just fallen asleep here. Another nightmare. I got up and walked to my room, but then I heard it again. This time, it was a whisper. I turned around quickly. No one. I must have been losing my mind. I closed my door, locked it, and got into bed, but I was scared to even sleep. There was no peace anymore. Not in dreams, not in reality. Tomorrow morning, I'd go to church and talk to Pastor Elijah. This had to stop. Tomorrow, I'd search for answers. I closed my eyes, trying to sleep. Then someone knocked on my door. I got up slowly and walked toward it. Just as I reached for the doorknob, Michael opened it. You asleep? He asked. No, not yet. Why? I said. Nothing. Just checking, he said, and shut the door again. I turned to go back to bed, but something felt off. I was sure I had locked that door. This isn't possible, I whispered. I locked it, and just then, the door opened again. I froze. Something was seriously wrong. Michael stood there again. You asleep? He asked. Same exact words, same tone. I was about to respond when my eyes shifted to my bed. Something that looked like me was lying there, but its face, that face, it was hideous. The eyes, nose, ears almost human, but distorted, twisted, wrong. He turned toward me and whispered, No, I'm not asleep, then started to laugh. Michael joined in. Their sinister laughter echoed through the room, making my skin crawl. I shut my eyes tight, praying silently. God, please, please let me wake up from this nightmare. But things only got worse. When I opened my eyes again, I was standing in the middle of the room. This time, my mom, dad, my brothers, and the horrifying thing that had been lying in my bed, they were all there. They turned toward me, making low, guttural, inhuman sounds. Then, without warning, they lunged. Their long, sharp nails tore into my skin. They grabbed me by my legs and started dragging me out of the house. Outside, I froze. The entire neighborhood was on fire. Everything was glowing red. I could hear the screams of people burning alive inside their homes. It was like we were thrown into the center of hell. I saw the bodies with my own eyes. My parents were still dragging me by my ankles toward the cemetery. My heart turned to ice. I prayed, begged for it to stop, but nothing changed. No matter how much I pleaded, I couldn't wake up from this nightmare. We reached the graveyard. Every grave was open. Corpses had risen, kneeling before the darkness. I looked into that black void, but saw nothing. Then, from within the shadows, a massive creature emerged, towering at nearly 20 feet tall. It was neither human nor animal, just pure, overwhelming terror. As soon as I saw it, Everything went black. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I was trapped in a coffin, alive. Scorpions, snakes, hundreds of bugs crawled over my bare skin. I was completely naked. I screamed, but no one heard me. I prayed again, over and over. I begged God, but nothing happened. I thought I would die here, alone in the darkness. And then, with my last breath, I tensed up, and everything went black. I don't know how much time passed, but when I opened my eyes again, I was in a hospital room. Beside me was my best friend, Ryan. Tears welled up in my eyes when I saw him. He jumped to his feet and said, "Bro, you okay? Thank God. You finally woke up." Then he rushed outside to call a nurse and doctor. After they checked my vitals, the doctor smiled and said, "Everything looks good. He's going to recover," and left the room. Ryan sat beside me and held my hand. "How do you feel, man?" I turned my head slowly. "I don't know. How did I get here? Where are my mom, dad, my brothers? What happened to me? I can't remember anything, just some fragments. I think I was at home, or maybe not. I'm not sure." Ryan hesitated, avoiding my eyes. "You don't remember anything?" I shook my head. "I do, kind of, but I don't know if it was real or just a nightmare." Ryan took a deep breath. "Listen, I don't know how much of what you saw was real or not, but a few days ago, there was a huge fire at your house. Everyone in your family, they didn't make it. The whole place burned down. But somehow, you were the only one who survived." At that moment, my eyes filled with tears. My throat tightened. Ryan kept talking. "During the fire, we tried everything to put it out, but no matter what we did, the flames only grew stronger. I can still hear the screams from inside. Once the fire consumed the entire house, we were finally able to enter. The bodies, they were unrecognizable." Ryan paused, then swallowed hard and continued. "There were deep cuts all over their bodies. Their arms and legs were broken in unnatural positions. The sight was horrifying, and the walls, they were covered with strange symbols. Ethan, there was no doubt some sort of ritual had taken place." My knees began to tremble. Ryan's voice lowered. "We immediately called Pastor Elijah. When he saw the symbols, he froze. He said, whoever did this was trying to summon something dark. But he also said something else, something important. When your mother was pregnant with you, someone had placed a powerful spiritual protection on you. That's the only reason you survived." He took a deep breath. "That protection shielded you from the worst of it. The darkness touched you, yes, but it couldn't fully consume you." I sat there, speechless. I couldn't say a word. He took a deep breath. "That protection shielded you from the worst of it. The darkness touched you, yes, but it couldn't fully consume you." I sat there, speechless. I couldn't say a word. I just stared at Ryan. Finally, the pain inside me erupted. "What are you even saying, Ryan? Are you seriously telling me my entire family is gone?" He lowered his head and nodded silently. "Yes, I'm sorry, but yes, it felt like my soul had shattered. Everything I had was gone." After that day, I spent a long time in therapy. When I finally left the hospital, the first thing I did was return to the ruins of my home. It was Ayla's voice, weak, raspy, almost like a whisper. She was saying, "My son." I followed the sound to a room down the hall. As soon as I opened the door, my knees buckled. I couldn't hold it. Enai dropped to the floor and threw up. Ayla was lying on the bed, barely alive. Her body was covered in wounds, bruises, and infections. The cuts were full of maggots, and she was choking on her own filth. All I could think was, how the hell is this woman even still breathing? Why didn't she ever ask for help? Suddenly I heard a noise from the next room, a quiet creak. I rushed over and opened the door, and what I saw next completely shattered me. The room was filled with severed animal heads, sheep, goats, dogs, cats, chickens, all of them hanging from the ceiling. like trophies. Their insides were scattered across the floor and the walls. They were covered in bizarre symbols, ritual markings, occult diagrams. This wasn't a butcher's room. It was a damn demonic lab. At this point, I wasn't even nauseous anymore. My stomach started aching. I slammed the door shut only to turn around and come face to face with my worst nightmare, Reggie. His eyes were bloodshot. His teeth had grown long and thin like a snake's. He grabbed my throat with a grip, so strong it felt like my lungs were on fire. I couldn't fight back. He was too strong. My hands were shaking. And then, something clicked in my head. Everything Ayla had told us. Reggie carrying things into his house late at night. The horrible smells. The weird behavior. It was him. It was always him. This entire time, he was the cause of all this madness. And suddenly, it was like something exploded inside me. All the fear, the pain, the hopelessness I'd been bottling up for years, fused into pure rage. And that rage gave me strength. I fought back. And when Reggie saw I was getting stronger, he pulled out a rusty blade and stabbed me in the stomach. I staggered back, but didn't stop. I thought of Mom, Dad, my brothers. I didn't even feel the pain anymore. I ripped the knife out of my gut and stabbed it into his leg, over and over again. Reggie fell to his knees, screaming in pain. I grabbed him by the collar, pressed the blade to his throat, and growled, "Tell me the truth. Did you take my family? Are you the reason all of this happened?" Tears started pouring from his eyes. He was trembling. "Please, don't do this. It wasn't me. It was my mom. She did everything." He was trying to blame his own mother now. I paused, looked him in the eye. This scumbag isn't worth ruining my life over. I dropped the knife, but my anger wasn't gone. I punched him, again and again, until I heard people banging on the door. The neighbors had heard the commotion. As soon as they entered the house, they froze in shock. One of them rushed to pull me away. The others tied Reggie to a chair. Someone called the cops. Another called an ambulance. Ayla was rushed to the hospital. Reggie was taken into custody, and I ended up in the ER while I was being treated. Detectives came in to take my statement. They also interviewed Ayla. She told them everything, every horrible detail. And here's what she said in her own words. "My son, he's been messing around with charms and talismans since he was a kid, but he never knew what he was doing. Over time, he must have found something dark. Somewhere, he started casting curses on people, friends. He ruined their lives, their marriages, their sanity. And the last ones he targeted were our neighbors, your family." She wouldn't listen, no matter how hard I tried to stop her. Ayla whispered, her voice trembling. "In the end, she cursed me too. This bed became my prison. Every night, demons come. They beat me. It's like I'm living in hell. I can't take it anymore. Please, take my son away from people. If he stays here, this entire town will fall apart." After Ayla's confession, I didn't even need to give a full statement at the station. Everyone finally understood what had been happening. The truth was out, raw and terrifying. Reggie was never seen in the town again after that day. No one knows where he went, how he's living, or if he's even alive. As for Ayla, she recovered not long after, thanks to Pastor Elijah's help. She broke free from the dark curse that held her for so long. Her health returned, and she never stepped foot in that cursed house again. She moved to another town, closer to her relatives. Both that cursed house and our burned-down home were officially sealed, closed forever. Eventually, once I got back on my feet financially, I left that town too. I started over in a small city, built a quiet life for myself, found a job, made some new friends, and yeah, from the outside, everything looks fine now. But nothing can replace the life I had with my family. I wish they were still here. I wish we could have grown old together, but we didn't get that chance. Sometimes, life forces you to be born again, And I did, but at a terrible cost. Thanks for listening. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time. You can support me by hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications. I'll see you in the next chilling story. Take care.